Brought to you by Meineke Car Care Center.
Matt's brakes didn't sound right, so I brought my car to Mike at Meineke. We inspected his brakes for free.
Free is good.
Free is very good.
Now get 50% off brake pads and shoes at Meineke.
So you were watching the George Zimmerman trial, and as we watch Officer Doris Singleton get on the stand here, we want to get some input from our panel on the witness that we just saw, his second time on the stand, Detective Chris Serino, the lead investigator in this. With us now, we have Michael Grieco, who is a criminal defense lawyer, and CNN legal analyst Sunny Hostin. So, guys, this was pretty fascinating because what you've seen here in the last few days is loved ones in the camp of Trayvon Martin or George Zimmerman, and they've all said the same thing, which was, it was my loved one whose voice that I hear on the tape. This is very important, this 911 tape, who was screaming before the gunshot, because it really goes to the heart of the question in the case, who was the aggressor? What we've seen here from Mark O'Mara, the questions that he has thrown at Detective Serino here, we're seeing the detective say that he spoke with Tracy Martin, Trayvon Martin's father, and the first time he heard the 911 tape, when asked if it was his son's voice, he said no. I mean, how damaging do you think this may be, Michael, or do you think the prosecutor here, Bernie De La Rionda, was able to kind of I guess, fix some of the damage?
No, I think it's very damaging. I think that by bringing somebody in and being able to bring out the testimony of the father without actually having to put the father on the stand and show to the jury that before anybody knew there was going to be a trial, before this had gotten any media attention, the father said, "That's not my son's voice." That's a very big deal. That brings us all the way back to the first couple of weeks of this investigation. And I do not think the prosecution I don't think they were able to cancel out any of the damage that the defense was able to do.
And Sonny, we'll get right to you in a moment, but let's first listen to what Officer Singleton is saying on the stand.
Good afternoon again, Officer Singleton. You recall actually Tracy Martin saying that was not his voice, that it's not his son's voice?
Yes.
Okay. And you clearly heard him say those words?
I don't know his exact words, but he was telling us that it was not his, or he was telling Chris that it was not his son's voice that was screaming for help.
I mean, he said words, in other words, like you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. And then after that, he put his head down, is what you're saying?
I think it was even while listening to it that he was already crying, because you could hear the gunshot.
And so, obviously, you were sensitive of that, too, the fact that they were playing this recording to the father of the person that's being shot on the tape, correct?
Yes, I was choked up myself. I had to stand back, and I felt, I could feel how he must feel, because I have children, and I was choked up by it, and I felt horrible for him.
And you could see that and sense that in Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Okay. And now, were you there for the playing of all the recordings, or just part of it?
I don't know if there was more recordings. That really stuck out in my mind, because I remember feeling so awful for him, that he would have to hear that.
So as far as you can recall, the only one you recall is the one where they were playing the recording of the screams, but also the shooting of Mr. Martin's son.
Yes, and that's why it stood out in my mind.
And what stood out in your mind is the pain that that father must have been going through at the time.
Yes, to know that he was hearing the sound that ended his son's life was tough to watch.
And did he, in your opinion, react as any grieving father would react?
Yes, he was very sad.
Now, he didn't get up and start screaming or anything, correct? He just basically put his head down and just started crying, right?
He was, I could see him wiping tears from his eyes. And I mean, he didn't lose it. I'm sure he was trying to hold himself together, and he's in the middle of a police department. But you could see that he was upset, of course.
And as you indicated, even while you were doing it, even from a distance away, it was hard for you to listen to that, correct?
Yes, and I had already heard it.
and I think you've already stated you felt awful for him, correct?
I can't imagine having to go through that because I have children, and I couldn't imagine.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Let me redirect.
Briefly, as sad as it was, both for you to listen to and obviously for Mr. Martin to go through, is there any doubt in your mind that he had said that that was not his son's voice that he heard screaming?
No, there's no doubt that he was telling us that that didn't sound like his son to him.
Nothing further.
May Officer Singleton be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Subject to recall.
You're excused, subject to being recalled? Today? No. We'll call you. Thank you. Call your next witness, please.
Defense would call Adam Pollock.
We're watching the George Zimmerman trial. We're going to take a quick break as we await the next defense witness to be called. We'll be right back.
There's a story behind everyone who suffers from serious